We have another one here called from Benny Johnson, who has 5.8 million subscribers. And the video title is Left-Wing Terrorist Opens Fire on ABC News HQ After Jimmy Kimmel Ripped Off Air. An anti-Trump post. Now, I'm not sure. I'm not into the political affair anytime, but let me just tell you, ever since Charlie Kirk's passing, a lot of things have been developing. Basically, human resources firing people left and right for their dirty comments on Charlie Kirk. Things that he has done, things that he has not done, things that are outright true, outright false. There are even religious apologists, political apologists, social apologists. Please, if you are definitely an observer, be an observer who sees the real thing and shares what is real. Instead of pandering to the type of person he is and that you would actually make him your idol. Don't make people your idol just because their points correspond well to yours. Basically, don't be an apologist. You can praise them for what they do and what they actually express, but if you become an apologist, you become obsessed with them. It becomes something very critically unhealthy to you. Your mind, your body, it will definitely be unhealthy to you. Absolutely, it will be unhealthy. So yeah, if you actually devote yourself to the point that you would actually go against the law, you would go against social order, you would go against peace for your own idol, then I'm sorry, you are considered not only a liability, you are also considered a danger in society. So yeah, please don't put people's lives at risk for your idols. Don't put people's lives at risk because you are an insane apologist extremist. Please don't.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them. 58 House Democrats voted against condemning political violence.
The House votes 310 to 58 to condemn Charlie Kirk's assassination, honor his legacy, and denounce political violence. Basically, I'm not sure if this is mental illness or something like that, but there may be deep roots as to why these Democrats actually voted against it. Now, I am not for entirely leaning on the left and right because of differences, and there are benefits and cons to both sides. This is why I'm very much making it actually clear, and I'm not sure if I made it clear before, that political moderates exist, so that both sides can apply to your lifestyle and to your futures. Do not lean into a certain political alignment if it actually hurts you. If it hurts you, do not lean into that political alignment. Absolutely, which is why I'm a moderate. I am not American, but I'm a political moderate now.
Why would that be? Well, because they like political violence. They don't even like acknowledging that Charlie...
You should be clear about who Kirk was. Man who believed the Civil Rights Act that granted Black Americans the right to vote was a mistake. Who, after the violent attack on Paul Pelosi, claimed that some amazing patriot out there should bail out his assailant. And accused Jews of controlling not just the colleges, it's the nonprofits, it's the movies, it's Hollywood, it's all of it. His rhetoric and beliefs were ignorant and sought to disenfranchise millions of Americans, far from working tirelessly to promote unity as asserted by the majority in this resolution. We can condemn his horrific assassination and the scourge of political violence without uplifting those ideas. Here's the thing. Political violence entirely should be condemned. That's the point, AOC. I'm definitely disappointed that she doesn't see it to that point.
Charlie Kirk is somebody who deserves to be mourned at all. They're using the moment of Charlie Kirk's memorial to lie on his name, thus absolving the left-wing terrorist who took Charlie Kirk's life. That is precisely what is happening. It is a despicable thing to see. And
let me just be real also. That the shooter himself, Mr. Tyler Robinson, was MAGA once until he started to left lean because he has turned he has actually turned to actually believing more on trans rights, basically. He is not a trans in reality, but he was beginning to believe more in trans rights from what I've been actually gathering. Because of those things too, he started to get political, and it started to actually mix into his psyche. The worst one can do is resort to violence just because their own talking points actually go against yours. Please. The thing that you can do is help yourself not being the aggressor. Or maybe there's peer pressure when it comes to his circles. I'm not sure, but still, he should not have done that.
And they're saying that Charlie Kirk is the one who caused great pain, not the trans activist, left-wing radical.
But is Charlie Kirk an aggressive, violent person? No, that doesn't give anyone the right to take his life away just because of talking points. That's not how debate works. That's not how ending a discussion works.
Democrat voter, Antifa member who took Charlie Kirk's life. Ilhan Omar is doing the exact same thing, saying that Charlie Kirk...
Ilhan Omar speaking. I do believe that those of you interested in rewriting his hateful man's history are full of shit.
Shouldn't have his hateful history rewritten. They're ratcheting up the narrative. They're ratcheting up the temperature in a moment where everybody needs to cool down. Leftists are the ones who are saying, no. This is the time to lie and score political points. That's exactly what Jimmy Kimmel did. This is why Jimmy Kimmel's show is getting emptied out right now. Jimmy Kimmel's show will probably never return, actually.
Breaking, Jimmy Kimmel Studios reportedly being cleared out. Furniture, equipment, everything hauled away. No formal announcement, no send-off, just silence and moving trucks. Basically, he has been canceled for entirely making a joke when it comes to Donald Trump's measure of caring for Mr. Charlie Kirk. Here's the thing. That's not a joke. That's true. Unfortunately, Trump is moving on from it. But the problem is, producers are afraid of what Trump would do if Trump actually labels as someone who leans towards protecting the actual entertainer. The problem with what the producers are thinking is they got the wrong logic. The entertainer's words are still true, but the producers just chose... Right, where was I? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's just be real. I kind of lost my train of thought. Damn. All right, hold on. Let's go back a bit just for us to...
For political points. That's exactly what Jimmy Kimmel did. This is why Jimmy Kimmel's show is getting emptied out right now.
I think it comes to a point in which even if Jimmy Kimmel did not make a joke and he made a true statement, I feel that he was wrong to the point that, yeah, this should not have happened to him. It's only happened to him because the producers are peeing their pants. Just because they think Donald Trump is going to get back at them. All political consequence. Honestly, I wish that we aren't always harmed due to political consequence. I hate it that we get harmed at any time, financially, physically, mentally, because of political consequence. I hate it that we are harmed in this way, because even if we are not mentally or socially and politically aligned to just one single category, honestly, we shouldn't make politics the center of our lives. We should never make politics the center of our lives, but here we are.
Jimmy Kimmel's show will probably never return, actually, to ABC. You can see the backlot here as they're filing out all of the Jimmy Kimmel show material. This is probably why it's not coming back, because Jimmy Kimmel's show was an absolute and total collapse. That's what the ABC News local stations have told me about Jimmy Kimmel. I've had conversations with a lot of them from across the country.
He was arrested for firing shots into the window of ABC 10 in Sacramento. Here, that appears to be contains a steady stream of anti-Trump commentary. Oh my God.
My phone is ringing off the hook because they're scared. Let me break a little news here. These ABC News local station owners. They're the ones who decided not to air Jimmy Kimmel's show. This is the free market at work. They said, our viewers don't like it. We are not able to sell ads against a show that does the same number of live stream viewers that a live stream of Joe Biden napping on the beach would do effectively. Like Jimmy Kimmel's show gets about as many viewers as Chris Christie's OnlyFans, right?
Oh my God.
Here, ladies and gentlemen, is the problem that the left lies. Instead of talking about how this is just supply and demand, the free market, Jimmy Kimmel's show was a absolute.
It was eventually failing at some point. And this is proven as the years have been coming by. Damn.
Nightmare. This is based on all available data. Was just a failed show that nobody wanted to watch because it had turned into left-wing DNC propaganda hour, and the majority of our country is right-leaning, so they don't like that. No, the left says that it is a full censorship operation done at the behest of the ABC local stations who refused to carry Jimmy Kimmel. Now, that's the moment that ABC News decided to yank the show. Here's why. Jimmy Kimmel wasn't going to apologize for lying about MAGA or Charlie Kirk's death.
And he shouldn't.
He was going to double down. He was going to make things so much worse. And that's why Disney, according to all available reports, said, you know what, we're just going to pull the show instead of letting all these local stations.
What Disney, this is actually, I think, is also the suspicious thing about this. Disney actually ordered him to be sacked. Yes. That is the more suspicious part of it, is that ABC doesn't mind sacking him if Disney doesn't mind either. And if they're the ones who give the word, if Disney were the ones who gave the word just because they are afraid of Donald Trump, they're being afraid just because. Oh my God. Look, let Disney burn by itself because they ruined IPs, but please. I wish this didn't happen, but of course, Disney makes me angry. Just because they ruined IPs, they ruined film, they ruined TV, and now they're ruining late night. Just because they're afraid of what some extremist Republican is going to do to them, basically.
Say we're not going to air the show, and there were about 100 million households that are covered by these local stations. Anyway, they decided to paint a target on the back of the local stations instead of taking any blame, and this is a trend, instead of taking any blame for their own side, instead of taking any blame for their own policies and their own radicalized ratcheting up of the temperature and the rhetoric, they decided to put a target on the local ABC News stations, who are without a doubt the heroes in this entire Jimmy Kimmel story. And now those stations are under terroristic threat. Those owners are calling me very scared. The amount of threats that are pouring into these local ABC News stations,
Boy,
truly unbelievable. I cannot tell you everything that I've been told in confidence, but it is wretched what Democrat terrorists are doing, and some of them are taking action. Anibal Hernandez Santana, 64, was arrested for firing a gun into the window of an ABC 10 station in Sacramento yesterday. His X account appears to be a constant stream of anti-Trump commentary. Oh, wow. Would you look at that? Color me completely shocked and surprised. Here you can see the bullet holes in the window.
Yep.
This guy is they were protesting outside. Like libs, dumpy boomer geriatric libs were protesting outside. They get the same geriatric to go protest everywhere. Like protesting for Jimmy Kimmel. Could you imagine? This, by the way, right here, gathered in front of Jimmy Kimmel Live, is his entire audience. That's a whole audience. That is a perfect representation of the total number of people that watch Jimmy Kimmel every single night.
Yeah.
Now, left-wing terrorists have been unleashed to attack local ABC stations because they decided that they were going to take Jimmy Kimmel off the air because their viewers didn't want it. And their response is terrorism. This is a trend. The response is always more terrorism by the left.
Look, I don't want to be politically motivating here, but that is never the answer. More and more of violence just keeps piling up just because things don't go your way. Just things don't go your way. Mostly, it is stemming from personal reasons, but this is so much worse. This is absolutely just so much worse. It snowballs to something that is absolutely horrendous.
When are we going to get our act together as Republicans, law enforcement, leader and start talking about this real problem and not allow them to sidestep it. The man who shot up the ABC affiliate in Sacramento following the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel has been identified as Anibal Hernandez. His X account appears to belong, is full of anti-Trump vitriol. He's also the legislative director for the California Federation of Teachers. Got it?
Oh my God. His career is over. Oh my God. His career is over.
Goodness gracious. He's straight up calling for violence, by the way, on his X account. Here we go. Here's his Facebook account. It bears repeating. Redux in 2024 if MAGA and their infamous leader cannot be stopped in the general election.
You can do whatever you want because it is a freedom of expression on the internet, but escalating it entirely into violence, not only is that a game changer that can either ruin you or that can make you. In this case, it ruins him because he failed in doing something significant. He only did something significant by breaking windows, but it cost him because he got caught.
It guy's account, like how it didn't get banned, I don't know. But he's worshiping Charlie Kirk's murder. Here it is right here. This is the account.
Do not worship the political violence against a political figure that already passed away because of it. Please don't. It never helps.
He's worshiping Charlie Kirk's murder. He's going on and on and on about left-wing violence and the gun violence and how bad gun violence is in America. And then he takes a gun and he goes and shoots up an ABC news station. Look at this. Our thoughts and prayers for Charlie Kirk and his family. May the prudence of this cost-benefit analysis of 2A rights versus school shootings live forever. Dude, he's the dude who just shot up a local news station. Man suspected of firing 3 shots into the window of ABC affiliate in California. After Kimmel decision, is a former teachers union legislative director whose X feed is filled with far left-wing rhetoric. We need...
Let's just be real. Whether you are left-leaning or right-leaning, one has to be able to see both sides of the political spectrum to understand that the objective truth matters. This guy kept following the political spectrum that he favors only. And I think at this point he kept following into echo chambers, and that's what got his thought process so skewed and screwed up. This is bad. This is happening again. This is happening again and again and again, bro. It is very stressful. But here we are. At least this one got arrested. He didn't take anyone's life in the process, but it could always get worse. It always gets worse.
We need to have a real conversation. By the way, here's his Act Blue. These are all of his donations to Democrats. It goes on for 178 entries. So page after page of donations to Democrats. It is long past time to have a national conversation about left-wing violence.
They are full-blooded nationalists. They are not patriots. These guys only care about wanting to let a political talking point go through without accepting the other side's input. They're not patriots. These people who are actually gunning down political figures and actually using physical and armed escalation for political to let their political rhetoric speak for it. Their people are not patriots. The 64-year-old, Mr. Tyler Robinson, these types of people are not patriots. They never are. Considering that this actually happens to them, and they let these things revolve around them, and then it resulted into harmful acts like this. They're nationalists without any straight aims. Nationalists who are lethal should not be allowed back into society. They didn't get their thoughts correctly. They didn't get their talking points correctly. And they screwed themselves up to the point that they themselves have become the things that they are swearing to themselves they wouldn't be. I'm sure at some point that at their most innocent time, Tyler Robinson and Hernandez Santana here has come to the point that they believe that gun violence and political violence is never the solution. What made them turn around is that they keep drowning themselves in political rhetoric to the point that they have to resort to gun violence like this. It is just awful. They've got to allow transparency so that talking points will balance out what their harmful rhetoric will get them to. This should not happen if they actually did those things. Please, whether you're an American or not, take my advice. Just be a moderate and don't go full extremist just because of your views. Please stop. It is never going to help you.
It is out of control. And his ex account is literally terroristic threatening. I thought this was a banger, and looks like I'm right. Doing well. Just posted it. Charlie Kirk assassinated by the leftist trans activist. The right prays, mourns, and goes to church. The left. Democrat pedophile George Zinn distracts law enforcement, falsely claimed to be Charlie Kirk's shooter, helping the assassin get away, charged criminally. Bomb was planted on a Fox News vehicle by 2 Democrat voters. Criminal charges and terrorism charges. Massive Charlie Kirk memorial vandalized and destroyed in Arizona. Criminal charges. DNC superdonor shoots up ABC affiliate building in Sacramento. Criminal charges. Jimmy Kimmel show suspended for lying about left-wing terrorism. Thousands upon thousands of leftists lose their job for celebrating Kirk's death. The Texas Tech students assault Charlie Kirk supporter, expulsion, and criminal charges. Texas State student assaults mocks Charlie Kirk's death, threatened TPUSA students,
expulsion.
58 House Democrats vote against disavowing political violence. Brett Kavanaugh's left-wing political assassin comes out as trans. Also, there was a bomb threat at RFK's house. Criminal charges, all in 1 week. Not a both sides issue. This is
political violence driven entirely by left-wing violence, which is absolutely bad. Whether political violence in America is driven entirely by left-wing or right-wing violence, it does not matter. Please, if you want to be productive and if you want to actually be out of the way of violence of any kind, listen to both sides. Listen to both sides instead of listening to one side and then being lured into an echo chamber. Please.
This is a real, true issue. The violence is all coming from the left, and it's time for Republicans to get serious about it. It's your boy, Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. See ya.
Benny, I'm going to leave a like to this, and I'm going to subscribe, because it does give us the wake-up call that we should never escalate to anything related to physical or armed retaliation against a talking point. That is not how discussion works. That is not how a debate works. You should absolutely make sure that these things are preserved. Discussion and debates should be preserved. It should never lead up to this point. But no, political violence just because of partisan violence. It's just, this is so wrong, bro. Absolutely so wrong. Interestingly enough, there is a video called All 9 Justices Against MAGA Censorship. If ABC defends Kimmel. The problem is they are not. This is from MSNBC, so okay, we'll see about this one. Fine. All 9 justices against the MAGA censorship. If ABC defends Kimmel, problem is they won't. Especially now that ABC has actually been targeted by a shooter who actually is very, very much angry because Kimmel was sacked.
ABC suspended Jimmy Kimmel after government pressure from the FCC, but the move now has ABC and its parent company Disney in crisis.
Exactly. Disney's also being suspiciously looked at for this.
So first, let me tell you tonight, we have new reporting and some special guests on the internal decision-making there, a company that has caved but may yet change gears again. Meanwhile, this Kimmel suspension has galvanized this national debate about Trump's effort to censor and silence critics and the press. And up top, I can tell you there is broad evidence of a broad plot here. Donald Trump's attacks, threats, and lawsuits against a whole range of outlets, speakers, and critics. And right now tonight, he ends this week with a fresh loss. A new, unusual lawsuit he filed against the New York Times, basically like Kimmel, in effect, because he didn't appreciate or agree with their coverage of him, their criticism. Well, today, a federal judge tossed that entire claimed $15 billion suit, noting it's decidedly improper and impermissible.
Yep. Yeah, that Trump's lawsuit against the New York Times is definitely a laughing stock in itself.
claims against the newspaper's First Amendment protected reporting. Now, Trump has lost. The suit is tossed. He can still respond in court. He can try to refile something that would, unlike this case, clear the very low hurdle of what is just a permissible suit. The case is technically separate from ABC, but clearly is the same playbook. And the Times fighting and winning quickly hangs over all of this tonight because it's the same playbook. And top Republicans also are not defending everything Trump is doing as it's all cast in the open this week. A Republican senator, the censorship effort should make everyone careful about any lines we cross in diminishing free speech. Most Democrats are united against it, speaking out, looking at ways they can deal with this, and they view it as a 5-alarm fire and watershed fight.
Okay.
So that's just some of the initial reaction. There is also the law here, and we will continue to remind you of the law, exercising our free speech reporting and factual efforts within a whole national debate about what is factual and what is the law, because it's a likely violation of the First Amendment to pressure private companies to silence their views. The First Amendment prohibits the government from abridging free speech and free exercise of the press rights.
Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances.
And so that's from the beginning. Of all the things that have changed, that is supposed to held steady. And the Supreme Court has held that for a very long time. Just last year, it reaffirmed a core holding that government officials cannot coerce private parties in order to punish or suppress views the government disfavors, which is literally the censorship agenda that Trump and his FCC chief Carr have been pursuing.
Yeah.
The thing they're doing is currently illegal, unlawful.
But you cannot really entirely arrest Trump because he's the president, and if you actually try to arrest Trump, that will be unlawful because he's the president of the United States. That in itself is ugly. We all got to be very real about it. That's
Now, there's no split here on this issue in the court, which also makes this a stronger precedent, different from, for example, cases you followed where it's 5-4 and then maybe the court changes and a couple years later it's 4-5, right? It changes. Well, let me show you. All 9 justices are for that ruling. You know, when we show you breaking coverage and we have the justices against it.
No judges exist, basically. You cannot coerce businesses to suppress views, and all judges agree.
You'll notice that's blank. That's accurate because all 9 said the government cannot coerce businesses or media outlets, etc. You can't coerce them to suppress or change views. That's obviously against free speech in the First Amendment. The same case held, the First Amendment prohibits the government from relying on the threat of invoking legal sanctions and other means of coercion. For example, let's say you threaten it.
At least the justice system has something.
So is illegal.
It's just that the law enforcement, there's just the problem with that, but okay.
If it's to achieve suppressing disfavored speech. So if Trump and Carr disfavor Jimmy Kimmel's criticism and make threats for it, that's unconstitutional. Again, who agrees with that? All 9 current justices, including, as you know, many appointed by Trump. So this is a big point here as we wrap up the week. As Trump loses in court over a different case against a different media outlet.
Yeah, okay.
These are the justices who would, of course, ultimately rule on any challenge to the FCC allegedly shaking down networks like ABC and Disney. But there's a big if.
Okay.
That would be if Disney and ABC fought this in court.
True.
If they stood up to the pressure like the New York Times is doing, like many citizens are doing.
Except ABC isn't doing that. ABC isn't doing that. And now they're being more shaken, especially with that arrested shooter who only shot up windows. They're shaken up. ABC is shaken up by this entire thing. I don't think it's easy for them to actually fight this in court considering they're pants right now.
They have.
Well, if Disney does it, then ABC's going to do it. But the problem is, I don't think Disney is ever going to give word to ABC to fight this in court. But, yeah.
Lawyers on retainer. They have billions of dollars. But so far, even though this is the court that awaits them 9-0 against exactly the type of censorship that Trump and Carr are doing. But so far, they've been giving in, rushing to surrender. Here's how the nonpartisan AP puts it, what's going on right now in your country. Trump's moves against media outlets mirror authoritarian approaches to silencing dissent.
Finally, that's accurate.
It's happening here now. There is pushback. There is even a court standing by that might very well side against that authoritarian effort, but this is happening now. Now, there's an acclaimed expert on authoritarianism, Timothy Snyder. He's warned that with Trump, this is exactly what you have to face, and cautioned against obeying in advance, even as some powerful people and companies appear to be doing that. Then others are speaking out. And it is easy sometimes for people to kind of look away and say, well, I don't know if this concerns me, or isn't that just entertainment, or isn't that just one channel? But free speech is tested in the breach.
Yep.
Whether it is a journalist or a dissident, a politician or a comedian, a musician, or someone doing interpretive dance that some autocrat doesn't like.
Oh, okay.
Remember, we don't always get to pick the person. It is interesting that Ted Cruz is speaking out against Jimmy Kimmel, even though Jimmy Kimmel has obviously made jokes about Ted Cruz and plenty of other politicians in both parties. But that shows some level of intellectual consistency on this issue. It doesn't really matter whether you like Jimmy Kimmel or whether you ever watched his program.
Okay.
When you look around, a lot of other people who weigh in with free speech, whether you think it's funny or not, or you agree with their politics or not, across late night, we are seeing them stand up and speaking the way they do about this alleged cowardice of those already bowing to Trump's censorship.
I mean, Trump has already basically canceled Colbert. What harm would it do if he actually cancels Jimmy Kimmel? But Trump himself did not say he should cancel. His proxies did it for him. His proxies inside ABC and Disney did it for him. Cowards! They are such cowards. They really want to actually keep their talking points in place in their entertainment, but they're actually moving first against Kimmel? Really? Really? They're pissing pants because they're scared. Donald Trump didn't have to do that, and Donald Trump didn't have to do that himself. His own proxies had ABC and Disney leaning to make sure that anyone who speaks against Trump does not threaten their existence, which is, it's just so political consequence has to play like this, and I really just hate it that this is how reality works right now. Political consequence. Just because one says something that might seem insensitive, but it's not. Why have we come to this?
Jimmy Kimmel was suspended by ABC after pressure from the FCC.
This is, by the way, Jimmy Fallon, by the way. Oh, late nighter.
Leaving everyone thinking WTF.
We have another fun, hilarious, administration compliant show.
That I've always admired and respected Mr. Trump.
If you felt a little off these past couple of days, it's probably because our great father has not been home.
And if you've ever seen me say anything negative about him, that's just AI.
President Trump is
making America great again.
Is
Yeah.
Donald Trump stifling free speech?
Of course not, John.
I like it when they make things like this fucking ironic, bro. I love it when the scripting just makes things ironic. This is so good. I am glad that they're looking at these small little things, unlike this piece of shit Trump.
All they do is hit Trump. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do that.
Yes, they are.
Exactly. Free speech.
There's a reason free speech is in the very First Amendment. It stands above all others. You might even say it's
The ultimate. That's some of what we heard there. And you'll notice the darker jokes are about what it would be like if we continue down this road, if Trump gets away with this.
Exactly. And he keeps getting away with this shit.
And remember whose voice you didn't hear in that montage? Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
Now, some Americans are already pushing back.
Disney Plus, yeah, y'all could go ahead, hit the road, Jack.
There are a lot of people who were pissed by this who actually did cancel their subscriptions on Disney Plus because That's not the way to treat an entertainer. And these people agree to the point that they don't want anything to do with it when it comes to Disney entertainment, which makes sense.
Your mistake getting scared by the FCC.
Not Disney Plus, not a Disney cruise, not Disneyland, not Disney World.
It is also hurting Disney's bottom line to earn. And they will not be able to earn because of this.
But there's a protest at Disney headquarters and I'm going.
Disney Plus and Hulu canceled. Throw you in the bin.
We will not be there with Mickey and Minnie.
ABC and Disney executives now scrambling over their rush decision Wednesday to give in to the government. Top brass even engaging in talks to get Kimmel back on the air.
Oh my God. They have not been proactive. They have been absolutely reactive to everything. This is so pathetic, Disney. Oh my God, Bob. You are pathetic and just being absolutely just reactive, and that's it. That's all you are doing. That is all you are doing. Pathetic piece of shit.
That is a very different tone from Wednesday when they rushed to respond to the FCC threats.
Oh my God.
Point of announcing that he was going to be benched basically for the long haul. They didn't say it was a week or 2 weeks. They just sort of said, well, indefinitely.
Oh my God, bro.
The whole thing on the ABC Disney side goes all the way up to the Disney chief, Bob Iger. The buck stops with this man. He is a powerful man. He controls Disney and has done that for many years in and out of that role. And right now, his legacy is being written more for his business acumen, which is widely praised, his ability to manage talent. I could just tell you quite honestly, this is a person who people in news and media think of as very smart and powerful. But right now, a lot of people who know free speech and the First Amendment, a lot of people who work with Jimmy Kimmel, a lot of people from Ted Cruz out to liberal lawyers say he is overseeing the wrong decision and direction.
That's right.
Doing what the New York Times did and standing up for his work and his people, he appears to be co-signing what for now is an effort to allow the government to silence critics.
Yeah.
More reporting on Mr. Iger and that aspect of this coming up later this hour with some very special experts. As for the New York Times editorial board, which of course is separate than the newsroom and separate than the lawyers, but they're all on the same page about the First Amendment, they note today the ability to disagree with other people on raw, difficult issues without fear of repression is the essence of American freedom. That freedom is under attack.
Yep.
And this is the way we live now. We do live in a capitalist country. We know that people consume media through private companies.
True.
And we know that those companies do care about the bottom line and live in a regulated environment.
True.
But the Trump second term is serving up a level of autocratic challenge that we didn't always face in the first, where we have to decide as a country, as people, and those people involved in running certain companies have to decide where the line is. Can you uphold the First Amendment? Do you have what some would call courage, but others would call the basic prudence to look at a Supreme Court that's held 9-0 that the government can't do this to your company and play that out in court and find out if you can win or not? Or do you? Expert cautioned against. Do you obey in advance?
This is so wrong. This is just so wrong what's happening to people here and what's happening. Just whether you are a saint or you are just a guy who just sees things, whether you are a political figure who just says the most heinous things, or you're just a casual guy just seeing things for how it is just now, you don't deserve to get the worst fates possible, whether it ends your career or it ends your life. Anything when it comes to politics is just so murky. This is why you should never base your life and your lifestyle as to how your political leanings are. You should never do that. And you should never fall, well, you can fall deeply into holes, but you have got to know where and when it sucks you to the point that it should not hold you perpetually. It should definitely give you the perspective here of when you should let go of something that would pull you into the point of it not letting you go. Okay? Let's just be honest about ourselves here. We love getting into discussion and debate. We love listening to talking points, and we love participating into activities that actually strengthen the talking points. But we've got to come to a point in which, is there any other talking point that would counter this? You've got to listen to those things too, to prevent yourself from being too dug in onto only one answer to a certain topic. There are multiple answers, multiple discussions to that topic. You should never just lean into one niche. You should never just lean into one possibility. We are the type to debate and discuss, right? Well, we should also be the ones to listen to other outputs. That way, we would never just be dealing with things one way, in our favor, to the point that it gives us the ability and excuse to escalate things that would prove you right, to the point that it would not, and would only personally prove you right, to the point that it ruins the entire conversation. Political violence and political consequence go hand in hand, but they should be completely separate. Never escalate to the point of arming yourself and escalating it from there. And never use political consequence to silence critics as well. Not only is being criminally violent being dirty, but making political consequence work for you is just being just as dirty. Those things are something I do not agree with. As much as I don't like Charlie Kirk and his talking points, he deserved better. And as much as I don't like Jimmy Kimmel's talking points, but considering that his talking points don't get people to be criminals instantly, not exactly by his will, but he also deserves better. His career didn't have to be in danger just because of his political talking, his own talking points, even if they're not even remotely political. At the very end right there. Even if he's left-leaning, I can understand where he's coming from. He just spoke fact that Trump is starting to not care about CK anymore. That he's prioritizing himself. There's truth in that statement. And they silenced Kimmel for it to the point that his own show would have to be canceled instead. Like I said, Charlie Kirk deserved better. Jimmy Kimmel also deserved better. Don't stain their memories just because of political consequence. I pray that.